So Division 2. Beta's been out all weekend, started March 1st. It's now March 3rd. It ends on the 4th. I highly recommend checking it out while you still can. But today, just gonna review it. You know what people do. Never done this before. Probably gonna go over it very poorly. But see how it goes. So basically the game is very similar to the first one, but instead of being placed in New York, it is instead placed in DC. Now, the evil group, instead of having, like, the 4 different groups like you did last time, like the Rikers and all that, it has just the one main group, which is the Hyenas, and you fight them as you progress through the story. Now, I haven't played much of the beta or progressed much through the storyline, so I don't want to spoil it for when the actual game comes out, because I'm not sure how far you can progress. But from what I can tell, it is very similar to the original game, with just updated graphics, updated scenery, and an updated storyline. I was a big fan of the first game. That's the one I wanted. That's one I clip. Sorry. I'm playing this and recording this at the same time, so it's not going as smooth. Anyway, there are very many similarities between the first game and this one, and if you played the first game, I do believe you'll probably enjoy this game as well. But some things I've noticed, and more or less what I think a lot of people were hopeful for going into this game, was that they would fix some of the errors that plagued the first game. And somewhat of what I've noticed is that they made it a little more smoother and all that stuff. But there are still some errors that I think could have been developed very well, but I think they're kind of just playing off as their game style. I mean, the controls are not similar to most games, which is annoying, but you get used to it. And games, ooh, a doggy. But they take a lot to draw out these games. It was like when you're doing a mission, how instead of just like, for example, one of the first missions I did, it was like get to the roof, and instead of just like being able to get to the roof and progress through the mission, just like walking through the stage, you end up walking up 4 flights of stairs. But after every first flight of stairs, I don't want to find agents, so I'm just gonna go into it. But after the first flight of stairs, to go up another floor is blocked off, and you have to walk through a stage of 15 enemies, kill them just to kill more time. And I feel like they put it in just to like expand playtime and make the game longer, instead of like extend the storyline versus just useless waves of enemies. Another thing is, especially you can see in this combat, I'm using an SMG, which is not ideal for this situation, but I'll switch to the tac rifle to get my point across. This game rewards players for just sitting back and using one of these tactical rifles to wipe out most of the enemies on a stage, and then you can finally charge like the last few with your machine gun or AR or what have you. And I think this is just like another way of their attempts to like slow down the gameplay so that you play it longer and it doesn't feel like it's moving too quickly. Which, I mean, I get it. The Dark Zone, which is not available during the beta, I believe, or I do not have access to yet, is where you get more of that PvP aspect of it and the higher paced stuff, but it just kind of feels like the story can be a little drawn out at times, like walking half a mile, which takes 2 minutes between different missions, and encountering random enemies just to shoot like 3 of them and keep walking, while it just delays the game for 30 seconds and you get relatively nothing out of it. You might get a lucky loot drop if that's about it, but those simple, like, my simple problems with the game are just kind of, I think, passed off as gameplay mechanics and how their game style is, which I get it. It's different. That's what makes it appealing, but it's just kind of not ideal for some gamers. And I mean, I still enjoy it, and it's really hope that they fix some of my plight, like my biggest, at least my biggest plight with the, is it the Dark Zone? Now I'm second guessing the name, but Dead Zone, Dark Zone, something like that, where you get, a lot of players get their strength from the story mode, and they use their gear from the story mode, which when you're facing these red level enemies is pretty overpowered gear, I may add. But ow. Sorry, it's really hard to focus and talk at the same time. I commend people that can do this very well. But they use their gear from the story and they become a lot stronger, and then when they go into multiplayer it just makes the whole system very out of balance, because it's not really, it was scaled to a certain extent, but I don't think it was scaled enough to make person on person encounters like more fair. Yeah, I think the people that play the game more should have an upper hand, but it just got to a point where like a team of 4 could be on a manhunt and 10 people are chasing after them, and those 10 people can't do anything just because of how strong these players have gotten from playing the story versus like doing the Dark Zone stuff, and just like all their gear from single player, which is not nearly as difficult. Difficulty being said, another one like, oh god, what is that? Ow. Okay. Where difficulty in the game is not necessarily more difficult, it's simply how much health the enemies have. Is what goes difficulty. Like you see your red enemies, which die in 10 bullets, and then you have your purple ones, which die in 15, and then the gold ones, which are like your bosses, that die in a lot more. But that just kind of is what differentiates the difficulty between different like enemies and just different levels in general. Is just enemies have more health while your guns are not doing like comparable damage, to where it just takes more bullets to kill. And I think as far as that being difficulty, it's a strategy for making a game more difficult, but I don't think it is the best solution. And I know difficulties in games is a hard thing to do, and it's been a massive, especially in single player, it's been a massive debate between people in the video game industry for a while. But I'm not sure if just upscaling your enemies a little bit, like this, see, he just has more health, so it's gonna take me longer to kill. But I'm not sure if that's the proper way to like scale your game.
You're near Espinosa's last known position. The shade node should
And
be
yeah,
close.
but after all of these very negative aspects, I will go to say that I do still enjoy the game very much. The graphics, it looks great, so obviously, as you can tell. Story mode, from what I could see, is still just as good as it was last time. I'd argue to say even better. I don't want to add any spoilers, because right now I'm doing a story mission, but all you can really see is, I'm supposed to go down there? Locate a node. Sorry. But, lost my train of thought. Yeah, no, it looks good. Looks very good. Is that it? Oh, I think I was just, well, oh, I was just supposed to go down here. Okay. Well, not the best gamer in the world, but I think I know what I'm talking about. Style play. But again, I went to say smoother, and it jogged my memory of another problem I have with the game, as you can just tell by my shooting, which I will say I'm not going to take credit as the most accurate shooter in the world, especially in video games. But it does seem like the game takes advantage of recoil patterns to make their game more difficult. And I think this goes back to oh gosh, this goes back to like just sitting back with your long distance rifle, because like this, like my single shot rifle, I can hit just about every shot, even at a long distance. Meanwhile, I'm using an SMG, which is like higher. I know it's just like a damage trade-off thing and everything, but it just in close quarters encounters, like in a parking garage or something, I shouldn't have to take out a marksman rifle to kill enemies. I should be able to use my SMG at close range and hit most of my shots, but it turns out you hit like, I don't know numbers, but I'm going to say it feels like you hit about 30% of your shots when you're just sitting here with an SMG and holding the trigger down. Now you can tap fire it, but when you tap fire a weapon, especially in a video game, I feel like it takes away from, like, especially an SMG, like an assault rifle, it's understandable, but an SMG I should just be able to hold down and you put damage. I shouldn't have to tap fire it and worry about controlling the spray. Ooh, see? Critical hit, up 3%. This is a very good weapon, especially for the style of play that this game forces you to have. So I'm going to put it on. But I really sound like I'm complaining a lot about how... Oh, I had another one the whole time? About how their style of play is and how I don't like it, but I want to say that I do actually thoroughly enjoy this game and everything that they do. But, okay, new stuff that they added. Get to some positives, okay? They added now these Hyena control zones, which are, hyenas are just like the one main group. I think I covered that already. The one main group in the storyline that's like the anarchists that take over and destroy civilian life. But just make sure there's no loot or anything.
Hello?
I think
Friend of yours gave me a real nice wristwatch. He's right here. Wanna talk
nope,
to him?
wrong way. To where they do hyena control zones where you walk in and it's just like enemy controlled zones in general, but you can like shoot off a flare and your allies can rally towards you and they fight combat, and it's like the Dark Zone games from the last one where they had like their bosses that you could get good loot off of. It's the same aspect of that, but just in real life. Not in real life, but in the story mode setting. Okay, I'm just gonna wait this one out. But it's in the story mode setting, and it just has, it's like your allies are just AI that come in and help you. So I do like that feature a lot because it does add something. Because there were features in the old game that forced you to play the Dark Zone, and I knew some people that wasn't what they wanted to do at all. They just liked the single player world and playing with their friends and not having to worry about encountering other players that would just go around and kill them, take their loot, etc. So I feel it feels like it's not gonna force you to play the Dark Zone. And I'm going to keep calling it the Dark Zone. I'm not 100% sure if that's the name of it, but I'm pretty sure that's what they called it in the last game. So I'm going to continue to use it. But it's not necessarily forcing you to play the Dark Zone to get the best possible loot in the game. And you can get everything you want from the story mode. But with that being said, I feel like the last game, Manhattan, was a very extensive map and a very extensive story that took, I don't know how many hours it took, but it took quite a while. Versus this game, I feel like, here, if I can, will the map open? The map is extremely smaller. There's only one zone of each level, and then there's 3 dark zones in 3 different corners of the map. And I obviously have yet to see how that plays out because the game hasn't been released, and I have limited playtime even in the beta. So this is just like an early things to notice because I haven't been able to play the beta a lot, but I wanted to create this video just to try it, and because I do like the game so much. And I like the first game so much that I really hopeful for the second game, especially now because there's been a lull in content and games lately. In total, I'm not adding anything up. But in essence, what I'm trying to say is that yeah, it's very similar to the first game, but there is not loot. I'm just picking up loot. That's what happens when you try to read and talk at the same time. You say things that you're just looking at. But there is aspects to this game that I do like, some new stuff that I'm glad they added. It is very similar to the old game in play style and in atmospheres, just in a new setting. And the enemies are different, so it does lead to a different area. And the storyline, obviously, I hope is going to be different, which I honestly don't remember there being like a huge storyline. It was just kind of like in the first game, it was more like soap opera-esque, where they intertwined 4 other storylines and didn't really have a conclusive one, like about the 4 different enemy groups, where this one there's just one that you're going to focus on. So it does kind of add to it. Excuse me. But all in all, enjoying it. I'm very hopeful for the game to come out. For now, since I'm not credible enough to have a series on this or have anything creative to score my games, I'm just gonna say out of 10, because that's how most things do it that aren't trying to be funny. But you know, I pride myself on my humor, even though not evident by this, that I will come up with something eventually. But right now we're gonna go out of 10. Early looks. We're gonna like not interpretations. Early whatever. I can't think of the word. I'm drawing a blank. That's fine. But what I've seen early, there we go. Just work your way around it. From what I've seen early, it's a very good game. Very hopeful for it. Very similar to the first one, but again, like I said, I do enjoy the first one. Kind of their game mechanics, again, just kind of go to elongate the storyline and make the game longer than it truly is. Oh, here we go. I'm gonna die. Awesome. Perfect way to end it. When I die. But, all in all, I'd say I'd give it about a 7 out of 10. I think my I want to say understandable, but at the same time, I guess they're a little picky. So I don't think it doesn't have a major effect on the game. It's just what I would like to see. And in total, it's a good game. Could use some work. But again, this is very early. Like it says, I'm level 4. That I have a lot of experiencing to do and a lot of hopefulness for the rest of the game and the release in 2 weeks. So yeah.